Wednesday, November 8th, 2023. Welcome to the Town of Carmel Town Board meeting. This is a work session. We have 14 items on the agenda. I call this meeting to order. And if everyone would please rise, face the flag, and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all the brave men and women that protect our freedom, our first responders, and for all the veterans that have passed with Veterans Day coming. Thank you. Okay, public comments first. If anybody would like to get up and make a comment, 5 minutes, please. Limit it to 5 minutes. Just get up, tell us your name, where you live, and well, I really appreciate the crowd. This is the second biggest crowd that we had. So first off, I asked the board to review the minutes that you were emailed from October 18th, 2023. Going to jump to James Gilchrist or Nina Kalmeyer to item number 10, assuming that that's why all the baseball people are here. James Gilchrist, Director of Recreation and Parks, consider request to accept proposal for master plan McDonough Park.
Sure. Just to let you know why we have so many people, I asked Dave Farrow to have a couple people come from baseball, but everybody's excited about moving forward with McDonough Park. This is our last piece of the puzzle of our original master plan that we started back in 2008, where we're going to move soccer out of McDonough Park, went down to the airport in Boulder Meadows, and then all of the fields up at McDonough Park would be converted to softball and baseball fields. We started work a number of years ago, and we have one field engineered. Inside Engineering did the engineering on the back, let's say the back right-hand corner of the park, adding in an additional 90-foot baseball/softball field. So that work has already been done. That followed our original master plan. So we have that engineering done. Our plan to move forward with the park is we met with so many groups, and Nina and Dave really met all summer long with baseball and also with the skate park committee, was to get all of the new ideas that we have, because the original master plan was, probably 15 years ago. So we did come up with some new ideas. We started sketching it out, working off of our old master plan. And we thought when the numbers started creeping up to where we thought they were going, we said we really need a professional to come in and lay this out and come up with a formal master plan that we could use for grant writing. And then we could also use that for the engineers to engineer the park, to correct the drainage, different slopes, the orientation of the fields. So what we're asking for is BBS would come in, go through all of our ideas, meet with the public, meet with baseball, meet with the skate committee and the skate park committee, gather all this information and use their professional experience to develop this park. So we brought Kurt from BBS. He was the one that actually did our master plan in 2008. So after Nina and I talk, if you have any questions from the representative, we can ask him to come up and he can answer the questions. The funds for this work, we have budgeted in the McDonough Park budget line for this year. So we were hoping to get this approved. We could pay for it this year, do the work over the remainder of the winter, have plans early spring. I know we have some money that we allocated in next year's budget from, I think it was ARP, or I forget which. So we do have some monies that we could start with some of the smaller items, and then look at how we're going to fund the larger improvements, either through grants or through the budget next year. So Nina, why don't you explain the skate park committee, how long you've been meeting, and
Yep.
the ideas you came up with?
Yeah, so, and I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. It's awesome to see all these people here, to see what the drive is behind this. So we do have some people that are here from the skate park committee that I have been meeting with those individuals for a few years now. The original committee started in 2017, so when I first started, there was a big push for that, and they are still on the committee. So they really are looking for this to be enhanced. You know, a lot of the work down there or the equipment down there is not safe at this point, so we need to fix that. We were planning on doing a conceptual plan just for the skate park, and we were going to go out. We did receive prices for that, but then when we were kicking the ball down the road with baseball, we said, all right, let's do it all together, one plan, same company, so then we can all be, you know, unified and go at it together. So that's kind of where we're at with everyone that's here and with our plans. Dave and myself were meeting with the MSA baseball committee as well, so we were, you know, came up with a wish list, and we have a good idea as to what we were looking for. We will pass that on to BBS, that is the plan. They are going to be working with Spoon Ranch, which was the company we would have went with for the skate park to do the conceptual design. They've done skate parks all over the US, specifically one in Middletown that they recently did up there, working with the municipality, and it's a really nice park up there. So we recommended them. They're going to work with BBS, and then they will come up with a plan together.
You have any questions for me? I'll ask Kurt to come up. I'm assuming you might want to understand, you know, what their work would entail, how long it would take, and all that. So what, you want me to invite Kurt up from BBS?
Sure.
You can do that.
Yeah. I'm wondering, can't we get a better price if we grouped all of the whole rec master plan, though?
Well, then you're dealing with a time issue. The whole recreation master plan needs to be updated. That's something that we talked about when we were doing the comprehensive plan for the town. You're supposed to update it every 10 to 15 years. We're right in the middle of that. So yes, the recreation master plan needs to be updated. Swan Cove should be added to it. The school district property, if we go through with that, would also be added to it. The swimming pool, the community center, those are the items that are left in the original master plan. But most of the work that was done in the initial master plan would just be tweaked. But that's all time, and this we want to get moving on. That's the reason that we took this portion out. The rest of the master plan, you know, that might be something that we would address later on next year. Once we get, you know, you guys are working with the engineering firm right now with Swan Cove. Once we get some of those issues resolved down there, then we could look at, all right, this is the amount of area that we have to work with that's high and dry out of the flooding area, and then we could try to develop that, but that would be the next step there.
Okay, thanks.
Oh, thanks for inviting me. So our proposal is to update the master plan that we originally did back in 2008. Just so you know, I worked with Jim and his staff and with the town back then for probably a couple of years, developing the town-wide master plan and also the Jimmy McDonough Park master plan. So we're very familiar with all of the parks and all of the programs that happen in the town. For Jimmy McDonough Park, I think we'll go back and look at the plans that we did before. First thing we want to do is meet with the community and meet with all the stakeholders for the park and get all their input before we do anything and put pen to paper. We want to make sure we know exactly what everybody wants there and what are the issues, especially with drainage and things like that, and parking and the entrances to the park and how all the fields lay out. So that would be what we would do right away, is set up those meetings with the community. We would have a meeting here in town with all the stakeholders, and then we would have a meeting at the end to present the new master plan. And in between, if we had to have other meetings, we'd do that virtually from, we're located on Long Island in Patchogue. We would be able to start right away as soon as you guys tell us to, and I would say, you know, the whole process would probably take, you know, a couple months depending on how quick we can get the meetings and get all the input so we can update the master plan.
So let's just assume that we were agreed to this. What is the schedule going forward with regard to, the meetings? I mean, are you going to have one meeting, 2 meetings? How long is that going to take, and then to develop the plan? Because we have a lot of, parks online, and we have a lot of stuff going on, and we just need to get them done. Once we start something, we want to move it to completion, and I think that's what we want to do here. So what's the timeframe? How much, in terms of based on the experience you've had when you've done other parks and master plans like this? Let's just say, for example, we move forward with this tomorrow. So where are we at in terms of a schedule?
If we started tomorrow, I would say, we would probably, with the holidays coming up, as soon as we could get meetings scheduled. So we would probably want to, have meetings in early to mid-December before the holidays. Have the first meeting, get as much input as possible.
Okay.
And then we could start actually doing our work, updating the master plan. And, during that process, we'll probably have some meetings over the phone. And I would think we would have the whole thing, ready to present in January at some point.
So you've identified the stakeholders that you'd be meeting with?
I haven't yet, because we haven't begun yet, but we'll
Right.
work with Jim on that, and we'll make sure that everybody who needs to be involved is at the meetings.
So,
They're all here right now, I think.
no, I understand, well, listen, they're welcome to come here. Are you planning on having a large meeting like this here with all the stakeholders?
Yeah, I think that's the way we'd like to
All
start
right.
with everybody.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
And so, basically, let's just say, again, if we started tomorrow, you'd be able to present something to us sometime in January?
Yes.
So that'd be a couple of months away?
Yes.
Okay.
So I just have one question. On the contract you had, and I love the fact that you're going to have a meeting with all of the stakeholders, because I think that is so important with it. But in the contract, it just says here you're going to just have one site meeting and one meeting to present the plan. So where does the meeting, is that going to be an additional cost to have one or multiple meetings with the stakeholders?
I think the site meeting we'd probably come up here for a day and an evening. So we'd do a site meeting during the day to look at the site and do all of that, and then that evening we would meet with all the stakeholders. And then at the end, we'll have another meeting where we'll actually present the new master plan and the cost estimates.
Okay, so just one meeting for the stakeholders then?
Yes.
Okay.
And I think if we needed to follow up with smaller groups after that, we could have one large meeting in person, and then if we need to have smaller meetings, we could do that virtually with smaller groups. Say the skateboard group, the baseball group, the Little League, things like that.
Okay, and is that an additional fee to
No.
it, or, no? Perfect.
All included.
Okay.
I think
I
we
like
have a
that.
lump sum fee, we're going to stick with
Yeah,
that.
that's what, I just
Yep.
wanted to make sure, because I don't want to, I want to make sure that they get the park that they want.
Yes.
As much as possible, and I just don't want a contract to stop them from having input into it.
Understood.
Perfect, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and thank everyone for coming also. Means a lot.
It's a great
Anybody
show.
else? Thanks.
Any other questions?
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you all for coming.
Mike, the kids can go home and do that.
Yeah. Yeah, so if the kids want to go home and do their homework and
And have dinner.
have dinner, go to sleep.
Thank you,
You can thank
everyone.
Councilman Lombardi for thinking of you.
No sense in sitting here till number 10.
Where's your Wolves hat?
It's just the master plan. They're not doing the whole they're not doing the whole recreation master plan. This is just the plan for McDonough Park. Yeah. Yep. They have to do a whole master plan for recreation. Yeah. Yeah, they have to do that. Yeah. I mean, we did a lot of it, that was in the last one, but it needs to be updated.
Huh?
That would have been really nice if they did do it.
So tell them.
And then, so Jim's done. Take care.
You gonna do the scout?
Good night.
Good night, Bert.
What are we doing? The scout next?
So thank you, everybody, for your patience. That is right to get the kids out. That was a good idea. Thank you, guys. So I wanted to thank everybody that came out and voted. I know it does impact everybody's life, but it's important to get out and vote. And I really appreciate that everybody, for all the parties that came out. That was great. Congratulations to all the winners, everybody. That it was a pretty spectacular election. A lot of people came out to vote this time, which means a lot. And so I just wanted to say thank you. We're going to move.
Congratulations.
And congratulations to the winners. And we're going to move the scout number 9. That's Nina again. Nina Kalmeyer, our senior recreation leader, Carmel Recreation. We have consider request to authorize the Eagle Scout project, Little Library at Sycamore Park. Eagle Scout candidate Veronica Bachletta.
Bacletta, you said.
Bacletta.
That was pretty good.
Mahopac Troop number 1. I love those little take a book, leave a book things. I was looking for one of those not that long ago because we had a bunch of books. So,
Did you take a book?
no, I was looking to put books
Oh.
because we were cleaning out the basement.
So I just wanted to introduce Veronica. She came to us a few months ago to propose doing her Eagle project at Sycamore Park. Her brother actually completed a project down by the playground. I'm not sure if you guys remember it, but he did a nice sign down there with, it's pretty much a beautiful message board down by the playground. He added Sycamore Park to the top, and it's a very nice addition to our park. So Veronica is going to be adding on to that Eagle Scout project onto the side, and that is where she is proposing to do her little library at Sycamore Park. I think it would be a great addition. I would like her to, present the project, but just the location of it will be perfect by the playground. People utilize the little library that we have at the Chamber Park all the time, and not just for kids. There's people that bring adult books, so it's a really great spot. It's a great addition, I think, to the parks. It would be a great addition, so I'll let Veronica present her project to you guys.
As she said, I'm going to be putting it on my brother's project facing the pavilion. It's going to be made of the same material, which is live edge cedar wood. We chose that because it's going to show for the American flag, red, white, and blue. There's a 3D model of what we think it's roughly going to look like. For safety reasons, it's not going to go past the benches, and the edges are going to be rounded. The idea is basically that you can take a book, you can read it there, and if you want, you can bring your own book and swap it with that. I thought it was going to be a good idea because I was visiting Emerald Lake in upstate New York, and I saw a bunch of mini libraries, and I saw that people were by the lake reading and just like putting the book back or taking one and putting their own, and I thought it was just a really good foundation of trust and things, and I thought it would be really cool if we had that in Mahopac.
I love it.
Yeah, it's a great idea.
Really, really like it.
Bringing the books back, I think that that's really important too, you know, and with summer camp there, and just the amount of people that utilize Sycamore Park, you know, regularly, I think that it would be a great addition to the park.
So has the project been approved by council already?
Has it been approved by the council yet? You haven't brought it to them yet. I think she has to
The
come
Scout
here
Council?
first.
Okay.
Have to
And
come
then
here
you're
on
gonna
both
go
sides.
to council next,
Yeah.
after it's approved by the town.
And as far as fundraising, I know you have, all projects require fundraising. So I see that you have some costs here, right?
Yes.
So you have had a lot of stuff donated already?
Yes, we have plexiglass, the hinges, and the
Shingles.
shingles.
Yep.
Okay, and the other stuff that you need, you have to fundraise for the balance?
Yes.
Okay, and you have a plan for that?
Yes. I plan to go to people, ask for money, and then I also plan to do like a bake sale or cookout.
Okay, all right, so when you do that, let us know and we'll announce it. So if you let us know a week or two ahead of time, we'll announce it for you, okay?
Yeah, and we'll buy a cupcake or something.
Nina, will the park staff will be taking over in the future, the upkeep and so forth?
Yeah, absolutely. The Eagle Scouts usually come back, and I feel like they really take a vested interest in their project. But we absolutely will take care of it
Okay.
if they need any repairs done. But I know for, go ahead.
Any extra funding that we get will probably go to repairs for the project.
Okay, great.
It will.
Great idea.
Yeah, Veronica, very nice. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Dad.
So to the beginning, we're considering a request to accept proposals for lead service line study and engineering services in support of FEMA New York State CMO requirements, July 9, 2023 storm event. John, are you going to be able to explain this to us, please? So we have John Fulchetti here to go to the engineering aspects that I don't have to read.
Remember, John, we're just mere mortals.
Thank you, sir. Let me start off by wishing an early happy birthday to the United States Marine Corps and say Happy Veterans Day to all the veterans here and all the vets out in the audience. You're looking at two proposals. The first one and the larger effort of the two is this lead service line inventory. The EPA has mandated that all public water supplies, regardless of size, conduct an inventory of all of the service lines from the water main to the curb line, typically where the ownership transitions, and then from the curb line to the building wall, for lack of a better term, to your foundation, where the pipe enters your house, and really the homeowner is then responsible for that. The town has about 3,700 separate connections by, across all of our water districts by our annual report. One of the additional mandates that the EPA has put on us is that where you have a single connection, say, to a mobile home facility, to a shopping plaza, to a strip mall where there's multiple connections coming off of the main service line, each one of those individuals has to also be included, and there's no count of them. We don't know what that looks like at this stage of the game. And the deadline's October 24th, 2024. No, that's not right. I think it's the 16th. October 16th, 2024. So we got less than 12 months. And they've provided us with a spreadsheet that requires to be filled out, and every line, every service connection has 17 entries, 17 columns. So, right, the Cazzari house, the Schanil house, the Lombardi house, the McDonough house, there's 17 different entries that's associated with your tax map number. So if you do that math, there's 3,700 units plus whatever's there. If it takes a minute to do each one, you're at, 70,000 minutes just on data entry without knowing any of the answers. And each line has to be identified. Is it made out of copper? Is it made out of lead? Is it galvanized with maybe a lead gooseneck? And at the curb, at the main and another gooseneck coming off the curb stand. So what we've provided is a proposal to do the data, the investigation and the data entry where we have the data. So it's a fairly hefty effort, but where we don't have the data, until I identify where we don't have the data, I can't cost that, because I don't know what that effort looks like. The minimum where there's not adequate information in the database is a 20% physical investigation. So come dig up Cazzari's house, come dig up McDonough's house, depending on what we know about those particular subdivisions and how they were built, not how they were built, but when they were built. So we've got less than 12 months to complete the work. I think that probably by February or maybe early March, we can have a handle on what does the invasive part of this investigation look like. We couldn't do it in the wintertime anyhow, because it's going to be frozen and it just create a big mess. But that's the proposal in a nutshell. That's the deliverable in a nutshell, and the proposal is there in front of you. We've got it. It's got to get undertaken.
You know the answer to this question, but as you're reading, it says EPA and New York State Department of Health mandated. Are they sending us a check with it too?
Did they send you a check with it?
Yeah.
You got to ask the comptroller. I don't think you got one when that mandate
Or is this
hit,
another-
when it hit Rich's office.
Unfunded mandate that
It's
they're
absolutely
requiring the
unfunded.
taxpayers to pay for.
Absolutely unfunded. We're going to recognize, right? This is just the first step,
Oh,
right? If we've
understand.
got public.
They will have to replace the
You're going to
lead.
end up having to
Yeah.
replace them, yeah.
Along with the PFAS, along with everything else.
And then the second proposal is, we've been working with the FEMA and the New York State Emergency Management Office since the July storm. And as it turns out, we were just stacking this up, right? We weren't billing it or anything. And then it turns out FEMA will reimburse you for our efforts, okay, on a T&M basis. So that's the second contract. So you can get paid for what we're doing for you.
Yeah, the admin
And I can
cost,
get paid,
which-
right, yeah.
That's, yeah. But we needed a disaster to get anything out of.
John,
It's better than making you pay for it your own self, right? We got one where we're not getting paid for it, you got one where you are getting paid for it.
Yeah, don't complain.
So John, I just have a question. In where it says as owned by the town and as owned by the customer, the piping, so you guys also have to go, like if it's a shopping center and they have their own pipes, you have to look at those too?
Right, so we, the municipality, have to identify from the main to the wall of the building. So from McAlpin Avenue to that wall where the water pipe comes in, we have to identify, and somewhere in between this wall and wherever the main is, there's the curb valve, right, which allows you to turn off the water if nobody pays a bill, right? So there's two segments. We, the municipality, own from the main to the curb stand, wherever that happens to fall, okay? And then the property owner owns from the curb stand to the building wall. So we have to identify both of those. In the event there's I don't even know, is there a mobile home facility here in town anywhere?
Mobile homes?
Mobile home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so typically what'll happen with the,
Oh,
so, It may not be, okay. Okay, so, but, so we'll eliminate the mobile home facilities, but we'll take Putnam Plaza as an example. Right, we have one feed that goes into Putnam, we have got 2 feeds that go into Putnam Plaza that are metered, right? And then, so that's like going to the curb stand, right? And then Putnam Plaza owns everything that goes to every single store off, well, we, according to the way I read this thing, we have to identify every one of those as well. Okay, so,
So like, you're gonna have to get, you're gonna have to get permission then from those?
right, this is
To
part
get
of-
it
this is
all by
part
next
of
October.
The big bureaucrats plan, like, yeah, okay, you guys have to take care of all of that stuff without any recognition of the reality of going into, you know, a shopping plaza.
And it's not even
and trying to
ours.
figure out what 20% of those connections look like in the middle of a business day, or paying people overtime to go do it on a Saturday night when there's
Right.
nobody there. But that's the requirement of the deliverable,
And easements.
right?
So you have to check 20% of the line going from the curb to the location?
Only where we can't validate it, right? So if we know by record, let's say in Water 2, when we did the emergency water main replacement, okay? We did all of the lines, and then we took all new service from the main to the curb stand. So I know that 100% of that is new copper, no lead. Still have to make the 17 data entries, but we know what it is. What we don't know is what happens from the curb stand to the home, because we didn't replace that, right? We can make a certain surmise on the basis of date of construction and when the EPA forbade or stopped allowing the use of lead in public water services, which is 1986. So if it's a post-1986 new construction, probably all copper. But so where we did the emergency water main replacement, we can make an assumption, if they were all built in 1950, that 100% of everything downstream of the curb stand has some kind of lead. Then we're going to be responsible for replacing 100% of them.
John, have we ever done this inventory before?
No, this is brand new, Steve. Nobody, the
This is
feds
brand
just
new.
came out with this, whatever.
Okay.
I don't know, Rich, in 2020, late 21, early 22?
Promulgated in May of this year, so.
So they finalized the rule in May.
In May, give or take, end of May.
I mean, because lead has been identified as a hazardous substance for 5, 6, 7 decades.
Right, but that's why they outlawed it in 1986. But they're just getting up to it now because I don't know, they run out of other things to regulate, Steve. I can't answer that one. I don't know.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know why at this time this is important, but
So John, so with this then, let's just say like with Putnam Plaza, ours is fine, but then when it goes from ours to theirs, that's their property, and just say they have lead, like, is the town gonna be responsible for that
that's not,
cost?
we have to identify it. They have not.
just have to identify it.
No one has yet promulgated the rule about who's going to be responsible for replacing what, where we've got this gray area. So as an example, at anybody's house where we did that emergency water main replacement, we replaced what we owned. Right, and the homeowner is always responsible from the, for whether it's water, sewer, whatever, from the curb stand to the unit, as are the property owner. Let's just take out homeowner. So that would then encompass Putnam Plaza as well. So I would hope that the municipality would only be responsible for replacing what it owns.
Right, but you don't
But,
know. Yeah.
you know, common sense is an uncommon virtue when we're dealing with these people, so.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah. Right?
Well, thank you for explaining that. I actually understood it.
We're good?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Oh, you want to ask? Don't go away.
I talked to Supervisor Cazzari about this, but we do not have the funding for this available, so we're going to have to borrow, unfortunately. So if the board is okay, I will contact bond counsel and get a bond resolution. I did prepare, John broke out the service line connections by water districts, And I put together, on the last page, I put together a spreadsheet that shows the cost per district. Okay, so for the engineering costs, we don't need to have a public hearing. So I believe I can just contact bond counsel, have him prepare the bond resolution, and the board can vote on that. But we can't authorize this proposal until the bond resolution is in place, and you have to have the estoppel period. So
Yeah.
we won't be able to authorize this proposal until after the estoppel period is up.
I mean, they have us under
So I know they do.
under gun,
yeah.
but I mean, it has to be
Right.
done by next October.
Right, right, we don't have the funding.
So, yeah.
So
All right.
I can contact bond counsel, see if they can get a resolution. I can't say that they would have it by next week, but December 6th, they could have that resolution.
Mary Ann, is
And
this,
then, so we won't be able to authorize this proposal until sometime in January because of the estoppel period.
Mary Ann, when we do, so
Thank you, New
so
York
we're gonna
State.
borrow it for the town-wide, and then
Right.
you're gonna allocate it to the districts?
No, but
the-
it will be borrowed through the
each-
district, not
We're gonna
townwide.
borrow to each
Yeah.
district?
Each district will cover the costs that I broke out.
Okay.
So Water District 2 is going to be 103, almost 104,000. You know, Water 3, 27,000.
Right, but
So
we're not,
it's-
are we going for bond to each water district?
It's similar to what we did with the water meters and the
Okay.
tanks, yeah.
Okay.
Yep. It's going to be one bond resolution, but
Right.
within the bond resolution is going to be broken out
Okay.
per district.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thanks,
so-
Mary Ann.
I know.
Yeah, thanks.
I always have to bring the bad
So
news.
just for the
But I-
record,
Ridiculous that the state
Yeah.
we're
keeps on doing
estimating
this.
$212,000 because we have to investigate the lead in the pipes, on top of the $190,000 to investigate the PFAS.
Right.
Just, this is just investigation, not the millions of dollars to fix these problems that have now,
Yeah.
an engineer in,
And it's the state.
what, the health department
mandating it.
decided,
Yeah.
or the EPA, oh, this one's, yeah, so this one is on the EPA.
Regulators.
PFAS
It was
is-
regulators. There was no good guys on the engineering side. All our good engineers were not involved in this. It was some health guy,
Yeah.
regulator.
Yeah. So it's,
So that 212 doesn't include the cost of preparation of easements and whatnot?
no, it
No.
does not.
So,
No.
yeah. So we're gonna borrow,
that's the
what I'm saying.
problem is-
If we can't award
Yeah.
it until January, he has to have this done by October
If I
16th.
needed 200 easements out of all those, if I started today, I wouldn't have by next October.
Well, you did this with this, when you did the
I mean,
two,
it's just-
right?
It's just, yeah, it's
Yeah.
not
It's
that
just
quick of a
not-
process. Okay.
Is 200 on the low end?
I would say that's on the low end. There's 3,700 connections, and you have to figure out which ones you can identify the actual material. Right? And then you're physically going to have to reveal the connection on private property. So there's no, with some
Looks me
excavating
away.
tools. So you need to have an easement, even if it's temporary. So I'll talk to Mary Ann about in the borrowing, okay? Because even the recording of the easements is thousands of dollars to do that, so.
Yeah.
But I don't think they can force you to do any of the replacement on a private
On
property.
private property.
Unconstitutional. It'd be a public benefit, public, use of public funds for private purpose. And that violates Article 8 of the Constitution. But it doesn't stop you from ascertaining what the material is and compiling the data, which is the larger scope of and purpose of this whole.
But then those people won't be able to sell their houses until
it's
they
not
change the
even
pipes.
Getting down that road. It's-
But that's what they'll go.
Right. But
they'll
but it's a
condemn your house.
private- It's a
Yeah.
private burden, okay, for the homeowner, or the property owner.
And like you
As
said, with
opposed
the
to-
PFOAs.
Yeah, and the PFOAs. But it's just like the oil tank. You can't sell your house until you get the oil tank out of the
Right.
ground and, yeah.
I mean, if the other option, if the board wanted to consider putting this into the 2024 budget, we could do that as well, but we'd have to override the cap
Yeah.
to do that.
no.
I
So
haven't done the legislation.
I'm just saying, like, you know, it's an option,
You couldn't do it.
just,
I think it,
Throwing that out there.
You couldn't override the cap in time.
It's too late.
Right, because
yeah.
they haven't, the board hasn't considered,
They would have to
as local
consider a
law, they have to
resolution.
notice it.
Because
They have 5 days notice and they have to adopt it by
Okay.
the 20th, so I don't think you can make it.
yeah.
Not that you would.
Because, yeah, they're voting on the budget next week, so that would have to.
Even if you
know.
pushed it out to the 20th, I don't think you can make the notice.
Yeah, okay.
What day is the 8th? Go in on the 14th. You just make it. If you have a meeting on Monday, the
So
20th.
is board, want me to contact bond counsel then tomorrow?
Yes, please.
I would, yes.
Okay,
Thank you, Colonel.
okay.
Thank you, John.
And happy birthday to your Marines.
Thank you, John.
Jack?
So as long as you're here,
Well, I'm here.
the second item on our agenda is Mary Ann Maxwell, Town Comptroller. Consider request to accept proposal for renewal agreement with Penplex for the LoSAP Length of Service Award Program, Carmel Fire Protection Districts 1 and 2. Mary Ann?
Thank you. Yes, Penflex is the company that we use that monitors our LoSAP Length of Service Award Program for our volunteer firefighters. For Carmel Fire Protection District Number 1, the cost is $7,900, which is an increase of $300 from last year. And Carmel Fire Protection District Number 2 is $8,800, which is also a $300 increase from last year. So these costs are included in the 2024 budget. It's a service that this company has provided for us for many years, and they do a good job for our volunteer firefighters in the actuary evaluation of the LoSAP plan.
Anybody?
Nope, good here.
Good?
No? Thank you.
Okay.
Oh, my God, this is so tiny.
I know.
I can't even see with my glasses.
She did that on purpose. She
The
knows I
user fee
can't
schedule-
see.
I know, I'm sorry.
So the
Can't even
third,
magnifying glass.
I'm sorry.
so the third item is consider request to authorize amendments to the user fee schedule for the water rates 2015 through 2024.
Yes. The first, I'll talk about the user fee schedule. I send this out to the department heads each year, and they come back with their suggestions on increase in any of their department user fees. So I did get a response back. Actually, I'll cover page 2. This is an increase in the EV charging stations. Currently, we're charging 0.25, 25 cents per kilowatt, and I discussed it with Rich, and we suggested going to 30 cents per kilowatt. We did look at other towns, and I think there's a couple other towns that are also doing 30 cents. Some are higher, some are lower. So we think that that is a reasonable cost for that. I did look at the revenue we've brought in so far for the EV charging stations. So far through October 31st, we brought in $319,000 in revenue.
Excuse me?
$319. $319.
Oh, I was gonna say, oh, my God.
$319 in revenue. So October was the biggest month of 167,000, so I think it is increasing in use.
No
Not
thousands.
319,000, though. $319.
So it's only like $67,400 to go to make it
Yeah.
break even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get there. On page 3, these are the recommendations from the Recreation Department, increasing some of their fees. The playground camp is going from $600 to $650, primary camp $650 to $700, camp extended day $250 to $300. I don't know if you want me to go through all of these, or you
Did
can
the
see the highlighted ones are the ones that
Yeah, did
are
the
being
non-residential
recommended.
go up or no?
I'm s-
Yes?
I'm sorry?
The park fee
Yes,
for
the
the
park fee
camp.
for the non-residents.
Oh,
That went up?
yes.
Because it doesn't say what it was, it just says 12, I'm thinking 1,200?
Whatever goes up for the resident, it goes up equally for the non-resident.
So it went up $50 probably.
Yeah, so they already paid double, but.
Yeah, I don't see that being increased. based on what? The recommendations that was sent over? But,
It should be double whatever the resident fee is.
Yeah, so
Okay.
it should be 13 and 14.
okay,
And not 12 and 13, right?
okay. So double the 650 times, okay, for the non-resident,
Okay.
Good catch.
okay.
I can't even see it.
Yeah.
Some of these were removed per the recreation director. Family tennis permit, resident registration fee, senior registration, resident registration fee, and nanny registration fee are being removed. Okay. And then on page 7, some recommendations from the engineering department. On the top of page 7 is a variable message board fee for events that are not road closure related. This is a new fee that is being recommended, $750. It's for the board to consider. Also, in the water districts, the new Badger water meter purchase, the encoder is going from 100 to 115, and the endpoint from 300 to 345. Water shut-off with standby, water operator overtime hourly rate plus 15%. I guess that's if an operator had to go out, correct?
That happens at some of these shopping centers,
Okay.
where we have to shut down and be there for that. We've done it a few times.
So we would get a cost from the operator, so we're gonna pass that on to the resident if that does, right?
The Badger was cost plus 15. There weren't individual pieces anymore.
So on top of the 50 is,
Okay, yes, yep.
Yeah, so the Badger meters, instead of going back every year to figure out what it would cost for a new one, if somebody has one that freezes in their house or needs to be replaced, it would be cost plus 15%, I think is what I said originally, because we got paid for the meter, and then just the process.
We would add the
of being
15%,
able to do
right.
all that, it takes time, money, and effort to do that work.
So Mary Ann, when the bills go out for the water then, maybe you could put like a little note in that so that people aren't surprised if they have it,
Okay, yeah,
okay?
yeah, that makes sense, yep.
A quick question on the variable message board fee. Was not charged before, but now we're going to charge $750 if it's for a non-road closure related. So what messages would you charge the $750 for? What type of messages? Are these for nonprofit organizations having events that will probably come to us and ask us to waive the fee because they're a nonprofit?
Yeah, but we don't waive fees.
but we're also not
So
going to.
the state DOT
events anymore.
requires, it's only for emergency road closures. So variable message boards should only be put out on roads if you're closing a road for an emergency or for a reason.
State
So,
roads.
for instance, unfortunately, for the United for Troops, this weekend, we have the variable message boards out. Next year, they would have to pay a fee for $750. The reason why is it takes time, money, and effort, again, for those variable message boards to be, programmed, moved by 2 highway personnel, have to move the first one out, and then they move the second one out, and then they have to go back and retrieve the first one and bring it back. They have to get charged, they have to make sure they're programmed, we have them serviced. All that works into it, right? So it's in our budget right now that we're doing it, highway personnel uses it. But we need to recognize that they're there for emergency purposes and not just because everybody wants to use them. So it kind of goes back, the fee harkens back to when we had the banner program in the 2013 and 14, which was, a pain in the neck, to be honest with you. We had people who would be, I want my banner up these dates, and if you don't put them up that date, why are you, dismissing me, and blah, 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 blah. And it was a hassle, so we finally pushed it back to the DOT to allow them to do it. But again, it was the highway department that was putting these banners up on Route 6 and Croton Falls Road. That's why you see all the banners on the fences now and not on the streets anymore. So it harkens back to that. It's time, money, and effort for personnel for the town of Carmel. So people need to recognize that, and that's why that number is in there.
Okay.
Of course, it's the board's decision to do what they want, but that's why I had recommended that fee be put in there.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Oh, Rich, question for you. The last item on the page, down at the bottom, the smart meter reading fees. How many parcels do we still have that are non-compliant? I mean, guesstimate.
I think we're at 95%, so I think there's probably about less than 100 or a little over 100 that's
Over 100, yeah.
100.
Over 100.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
There are some people who have sworn they will never, ever have the Badger meter put in, so that's why they will have to be, they would have to have this fee applied. So I have to use the right language or I'll get yelled at by council.
Assessed, he just yelled at you underneath
I
his
know,
breath.
I saw him turn around when I
Just
said
letting
that.
you know.
Not fine.
Thank you.
Jim, it was the non-residents for tennis and whatnot that was removed?
Yeah, yeah. And also the registration fee we're gonna have now is part of the cost of the registration programs. I was turning it into an issue when people were doing multiple registrations. The fee would constantly come up as an issue. So we've added $6 onto the cost of each program. So it takes a step out of normally you would do an ID card back in the day.
Yeah.
Pay for that card. But we have a new online registration program. You have to go through a whole process of signing up first, pay $6, and then sign up for the class. Now it's just the class plus, it's already, you have a $6 fee. It's incorporated. It's
Simplicity.
And that's just for the non-residents.
No, that's for everybody.
So if a non-resident wanted to come and play tennis and pickleball, they're paying the same fee as a resident?
No, they have a $35 fee that's on top of all of our registration programs, a non-resident fee.
It's not on here. On here, it looks like you removed, well, it actually says that you guys removed it.
So
That-
in Community Pass, every time a non-resident registers for anything, there's a $35 additional put onto that program. So if it's $6, then
Okay.
it's plus 35. So it's
Yep.
just across the board. I don't think it's written, that's written on that schedule.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
But for camp, it's double,
Right,
Okay.
just $35.
yep,
Double what.
Yeah.
got it. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay. And then the other part of this is the water fees, the water rates for 2024. So when preparing the 2024 budget, the water districts basically have two revenues that they bring in. One is taxes and one is water consumption. So in order to keep up with the operation and maintenance of the districts and to stay within the tax cap, we had to look at raising the water district rates. We haven't done this in 10 years, and now that we have these electronic read meters, I'm able to track the revenue a lot better because it's actual revenue. You know, prior to that, there was, you know, half of our accounts were estimated. So by raising these rates, some of them are 50 cents per 1,000 gallons. That's most of them, that's what they are. We're going to be bringing in 400,000 more in revenue in the water districts. If we didn't do this, we would have to raise taxes $400,000 in order to keep up with the operation and maintenance. So I think I've talked to you guys about this in going over the budget over the past couple of weeks, so I'm presenting this to be adopted by the board as well.
So Mary Ann, some of them are raised up like $1.50.
I'm sorry?
Some of them are raised up $1.50.
Some of them are,
Some of them
because they
are,
were
okay.
much lower, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Like Water District 2 was $4.50, it's going to
Yeah.
$6.
Okay,
Water District 3 was $3.25, it's
Yeah.
going to $5.
okay.
I think it's kind of bringing them more in line, because
With everything,
the Water
sure.
District 3 was, you know, $3.25. That district has, that's Secor, that district has, you know, the fund balances in these districts, as you have seen when I bring the budget revisions, they're dwindling, and it's
Yep.
because we can't keep up with the operation and maintenance of the districts, and we have to either raise taxes or
Yep, okay,
or the consumption rates.
thank you.
Okay, the fourth item, Mary Ann Maxwell, Town Controller, consider request to authorize 2023 delinquent water and sewer re-levy for 2024 town and county taxes. Now, this looks like a engineering packet.
Yeah, this is, yeah, yeah, unfortunately, yeah. This is the delinquent water and sewer. Currently, this is a draft. I will bring this to the board again next week. This goes to the county to be raised on the 2024 town and county taxes. Currently, there are 225,000 delinquent water accounts. That's both consumption and penalties. And then there's $1,976 in out-of-district sewer and water bills that are outstanding. These bills are more than, I would say, more than 90 days past due, so it's not like we're not levying current charges. These are charges that were due last October and this past March. So anything current that was just billed out is not being levied. Okay,
Thanks.
so I will bring an updated, I'll get an updated report to the board
Mary Ann, just a
before
quick question.
adoption next week. What's that? Right before we do the, yeah. Oh, yes, it will be last minute, yeah, because then I sent it to the county. I don't want to levy something and then they pay it, so I wait until basically to the last minute.
Hey, Mary Ann, quick question.
Uh-huh.
When I look at the individual, and I think I asked this question last year, so forgive me if I don't remember, but a lot of the re-levy items are small dollars, like $40 and $60, and, so when people are behind, do they get like a quarterly invoice?
Oh, yes. Yes.
So we keep,
We send out, yes,
Sending
we
them a
send out
letter.
semi-annual invoices.
okay,
And then, so we send them out in April and October.
Yeah.
And then a delinquent notice goes out 2 months after that, and then another 2 months after that.
okay,
So they get 2 delinquent notices, and, and then they get another bill, and if they haven't paid, then there's past due charges on their, so say they get their April bill and they haven't paid October, there's, their delinquent charges is there, so there's definitely, and then on the invoice, we say if you haven't paid, your balance will be re-levied,
yeah,
so,
okay. Like I said, a lot of the amounts are small,
yeah,
and it would just indicate to me
yeah.
maybe there's some kind of communication issue, because I know we probably all get a bill once in a while, it says, fifth notice.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, I didn't get the first 4,
Right, right, yeah.
So, I
Yeah.
know that happens, but the 225, how does that stack up against prior years?
I'm expecting that to come down. I would say they're usually around 200,000.
Okay,
you
so
know.
it's ballpark?
Yeah, it is a ballpark. I think last year was lower, but, there has been some times where it's, 250, 240, 240, 250.
Got it, okay.
But it's usually around 200, I would say.
Got it,
Yeah.
thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, have a good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Our fifth item is with our town engineer, Richard Franzetti. Consider request to accept proposal for rebuild of Town 2 CMF feed well pumps for Carmel Sewer District Number 7.
So yes, this is Infomark, the operators of Carmel Sewer District 7, advised the department that the feed well pump number 1, which sends processed water from the continuous membrane filter units, needs to be rebuilt. Pump 2 was replaced earlier this year, so as to have a spare, Infomark recommends that the original Pump 2 also be rebuilt. So then we'd have 3, 2 in use, 1 as a backup. Infomark received quotes to rebuild the 2 pumps for a total of $12,321, $54,3750 for Pump 1, $68,8350 for Pump 2. The sole source vendor for the pump. The pumps being replaced are about 12 years old, and the replacement pump has an expectancy of 10 to 15 years. It was considered as part of this year's budget, and there are sufficient funds, and we will also be reimbursed 50%, as this was part of the New York City DEP regulatory upgrades for the facility.
Are these like the ones that B&J did, like $39,000 pump? if you had to buy a new one?
They're pumps, they're not the same pumps, right? So these are feed well pumps. They just take, there's a wet well that's in the system that takes a bunch of the water from either the sand filters and the continuous CMFs, and it pumps it either back to the headworks or to the secondary clarifier. So it goes in either direction. So they're pumps that are used within the wastewater. So
But they're huge pumps.
yeah,
like-
they're all big pumps. I mean, I don't know the horsepower on this. It might be in here. No, they're not that huge. They're 3 horsepower pumps, so, you know, they're not terribly huge. However, you know, you still need them.
Thanks.
So Rich, pump number 2 is new, because it's replaced. Pump number 1 we're redoing, and the spare we're redoing.
So we replaced pump number 2 earlier this year, so we have a brand-new pump there.
So we're not touching that.
No, but we have the one we took out. The old pump number 2 will be rebuilt, and
That's
the
what's
old-
confusing me, because it keeps on saying pump 2.
Well,
So
there's-
pump 2 old.
Well, it's pump 2 redux, or redial. Yes. Yeah, so
So we're gonna have
the
3
old
pumps
pump
out
number
there.
2 will be replaced. It will be now called pump number 3.
Thank you.
That's it.
2A.
Well, yeah, version 2, 2V2. Do you want me to just go on?
Yeah, so the next thing is consider request to authorize renewal of the contract for snow removal services, Swan Cove. So part of the original deal with Mahopac, now Tompkins Bank, was that we would plow the bank parking lot and Swan Cove, and this is part of,
This is part of that agreement. This is meeting that agreement. We sent out proposals in October of '22. It was awarded to Lake Mahopac Landscaping for the year going from November 15th, '22 to May 15th, '23. Sorry, that was a typo. With the unilateral option on the part of the town to extend the term for 2 additional one-year periods, '23-24, November '23 to May '24, and then November '24 to May '25. We recommend that we renew the contract now for the next 2 years, so we don't have to come back next year, we'll do it for 2 years, we do the unilateral option now, so.
Perfect, thank you.
This is budgeted, right, so this is something that is part of the annual budget, so it's not something that's out of the ordinary, because we did go out for the RFP, it's something we planned for.
okay, and then our 7th item is consider request to accept proposal for purchase and installation of CMF mud well pump for Carmel Sewer District 4.
So I'll lead with this one to make Frank happy. This is being funded 50% by the New York City DEP, so the numbers we have here are, you know, what we'll be
That
paying.
makes me feel better,
See?
and the public feel better too when it's
I
it's being paid
ended the
for.
first one with it, I'm starting this one with it.
That's
so.
the way you gotta do it.
This is for Sewer District 4. The engineer, that the primary mud well pump 1 for the continuous membrane filter system needs to be replaced. It's used to send backwash and overflow water to the units and sand filters back to the secondary clarifiers. So this was the one that I talked about before. The system is running on 1 pump, and the pump is needed to maintain speediest compliance. There's only 1 manufacturer for this pump, and it's considered a sole source. We have a quote in the amount of $10,899, of which 50% will be reimbursed back to the town. The original equipment's about 25 years old, and the new equipment is going to have a life expectancy of 10 to 15 years. There are attached funds in the budget. There are sufficient funds in the budget.
Thank you.
I think we're good with that. And then consider request to authorize return of partial fee for wetland permit application, tax map 64.17-1-47. Rich?
So there are 2 here. One is for Sunset Boulevard 11, 5419-1-11. They were charged $500 for a wetland permit application when it should have been $150 for a letter of permission. A refund of $350 is recommended to be returned to the applicant. For 96 McGregor, tax max 64.17-147, was charged $800 for a wetland permit. It should have been $150 for a letter of permission. It's requested that a refund of $650 be returned to the applicant. This came from the Ross Trombetta, and it was the wetland board that had issued the original amounts and then changed it to letter of permission. So I don't know how they got there, but that's what they recommended, that it be returned.
They'll be happy.
That's it.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good evening.
Thanks. See you tomorrow. James Gilchrist, would you come back? All right. Oh, that's right. So, James Gilchrist, Director of Recreation and Parks, consider request to appoint Megan Fleming and Dave Wilder to the Town of Carmel Recreation Committee.
Sure.
Jim?
Yeah, we advertised earlier this year for a vacancy on the Recreation Committee, on the Advisory Committee. We had 4 respondents that responded. 2 were not able to make Thursday evening meetings. So the other 2, the Recreation Committee interviewed them back in May. They have excellent talents for the committee. They're committed to be able to come to our meetings and also get involved with other activities. As you can see, Dave is an instructor for our paddleboard program, and Megan has gone through all of our programs, and she's also worked with the schools, with the PTOs and all that. So that we're looking for people that are involved with recreation programs in town. And we're looking for these appointments to be done in January at the organizational meeting. So the committee, recommends both these individuals.
Jim, these would fill the vacancies on the committee? Or are there any?
Yeah, we have, I think, at least one that's terming out on, at the end of this year, that will not be reappointed.
So we'll have one vacancy?
One vacancy, but we also have in the bylaws for the advisory committee, you can have up to, I think it's 12 members. Currently, they have, I think, 6 or 7 that are appointed right now. So you could always add more members down the road if you wanted to add some more to that committee.
And there's unfortunately a lot of members that don't come to the meetings.
Yeah.
And also, they're going to look at that also.
Yeah, thanks for coming. Thank you very much, Nina.
You got it,
You
okay.
guys are done. You guys get to go home.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
So the Highway Superintendent, Mike Simone, has an item on number 12, consider request to award bids for the fall supplies and materials. In his memo to the town board dated October 27, 2023, he lists washed sand, Red Wing Properties, $18 per ton. He says that's a single bidder, delivered $24 a ton. The winter mix, package, pavement, single bidder, $135 per ton. 56 to 60 number bags, $431.20 per pallet, and a mileage adjustment of $4 per ton. For guide rails, complete layout and installation per New York State DOT specifications, he has down as a single bidder Chunung Supply Corp. He's got galvanized, corten, and timber for $36.90, $42.20, $74.36, $947, $2,560. Those are each installed, and then $106.40 per linear foot for 6x6 box beams. The corten corrugated beam rails, $47.10. Corrugated rails. What? What?
No, keep going, do whatever you like. You're the supervisor, you can do whatever you want.
Oh, I don't have to read the whole thing? No, all right, good. So that's what he's asking about. He also mentioned, and the chief, I'm glad that you're here, we have to do something about signage disappearing. Apparently, the highway department, we have a budget of $14,000 for new signs. Those are ones that rot or get destroyed because, for whatever reason. Somebody's pilfering the street signs. We're up to $9,300 and something in replacing signs. That really says something about where we are in this economy, that people are stealing aluminum.
What?
For aluminum. Aluminum. Aluminum.
Like they're stealing signs that say like Arthur Avenue and they're putting it above their bed? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, no, I think they're stealing it and selling it.
Oh.
Well, that's what Simone thinks. I don't know, the chief can tell us. He's the police expert. So please consider the supplies for Simone. The 13th and 14th item are our police
Aluminum's
chief.
pretty expensive.
Aluminum.
Expensive right now.
Our police chief, Anthony Hoffman, consider request to authorize payment of education stipends per article, is that 17 of the PBA contract for police officers, Anthony Totaro, Carroll, and Palmero. Chief.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Supervisor, members of the board. Just first, I will coordinate with the highway superintendent. I was unaware that it was $9,000 in signs that we had missing, but we'll
Yeah, he was
start to
going to
work
stop
on
to
that.
see you tomorrow, he told me.
Yes, yeah. Our first item for your consideration is the education and training portion of the current PBA contract. We have 3 officers that have a year in service and therefore qualify for stipends because they have their requisite degrees. The first is Officer Tarantino. He has an associate's degree from Westchester Community College. He qualifies for a $600 annual stipend. Officer Carroll has a bachelor's degree from SUNY Albany and can get a $900 stipend. And Officer Palmero has a bachelor's degree from Concordia College and qualifies for the $900 stipend. This is contractual. It was anticipated in our budget. It's also, as officers retire, we don't have to pay their stipends, so it's pretty much a wash budgetary-wise. So I recommend that be paid. On to number 2.
Anybody? And the next item is for consider request to reject all bids and advertise for bids for UTV e-vehicle.
Yes. The UTV project began a couple months back with notification that we were receiving grant funding for electric vehicles from Senator Harcum. We were exploring acquiring an electric UTV, utility task vehicle, a side-by-side, a Polaris, if you will. They're known by different names. As we were researching that, we realized that the requirements of the grant, our specifications, what we were getting from the dealers didn't align. We had to withdraw the electric vehicle, and we were looking into getting a gas-powered vehicle. Looking at the gas-powered vehicle, Sergeant Anderson is running the project for us. He determined that we would get a lot greater flexibility in that for about $8,000 less. So that was the decision that we made to pursue a gas-powered vehicle. We put out for bids. The bids came back. We had one bid from a dealer that was down in Florida, which did not match the requirements of the bid, that the dealer had to be within 50 miles of the town of Carmel. Their only caveat to add to that was that they would work with local dealers. They didn't specify who these dealers were, which gave us concern, especially for maintenance and service. So the decision was made to request that this bid be rejected, and we put out for rebid for this gas UTV.
So Chief, will Senator Harcum still give you the money if it's a gas one?
We still, no, not for the gas one. We still have that vehicle for, that money for electric vehicles, and instead of getting the UTV, we would just get a regular vehicle for the town.
Okay.
So we're not going to lose that money at all.
Yeah, we're going to try to get 2 EV pickup trucks.
Yes.
Because it has to be a heavy-duty vehicle for town departments.
all I got.
Thank
All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you. So, comment-wise, again, thank everybody for getting out and voting. That was a really good turnout. And again, congratulations to all the winners. This Saturday, we have the VFW 5491. They do their Veterans Day Parade, which goes down Eastlake Boulevard from the post to the memorial there by CVS. And that is, the lineup is 10:30. They go down to the monument, and then at the 11th hour, on the 11th day, there's the memorial for the veterans. Do you want to do United for the Troops?
Yeah. And this coming Sunday, donations are needed for the holiday. So Sunday, November 12th, from 10 to 1 at the Mahopac Roller Hockey Rink, which is located across the Mahopac Fire Department. United for the Troops, in conjunction with the town, is having a drop-off. And some of the items on the wish list are different snacks, toiletries, men's and women's, sundries, just all material. We can't have any glass, no glass and no aerosol. So plastic containers for the items. And no loose candy. I know a lot of people have Halloween candy laying around. They're not accepting loose candy, all right? So we'll see everybody on this coming Sunday from 10 to 1.
So we're going to go to executive session. We have Chief Hoffman, a contractual item. Can I get a motion to go to executive session?
So move.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Good night. Thank you, everyone.